Sometimes you just gotta push through and power through. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Stephanie from Allegedly Stephanie, and every month, once a month, we discuss my long journey to paying off my six-figure student loans and also updates on what is currently going on with student loan forgiveness, student loan forbearance, student loans in general under this administration. I know y'all must be tired because I'm tired. I'm also sick. So, yeah, this video would have come out last week, but here I am holding on. Let's get into it. If you're new, these videos are always retroactive, so they are what I paid the month before. So, in this video, we're going to discuss what I paid in January, as well as what the heck is going on with income driven repayment plans. Not just the SAVE plan, but all IDR plans. Spoiler alert, it's not positive. Yes. And then also, again, keeping with the theme that unfortunately is likely to be the theme for the remainder of the year, if not the next 4 years, what do student loans under Donald look like? All right, so let's get into it.
Are you okay?
Let's get into it. I'm sick. Sometimes you just got to push through and power through. I'm trying. So, my starting student loan balance when I started this journey 5 years ago on February 14th, 2020, was $304,680 and 17 trifling cents. Yes, an estimated, because I really should like redo the math and show y'all, an estimated $90,000 of all of them trifling dollars is interest, aka money I did not borrow. Last month, I made a large payment of $10,000. Yes, small claps. It does feel weird to be excited to give them so much money, but the more money I give them, the closer I am to getting the hell out of this. So, yay. And that brings my remainder at the beginning of February to $117,548 and 97 trifling pennies, which brings my estimated total paid in a whopping 5 years to $196,519 and 63 of my hard-earned mother effing cents. Yes. And it's estimated total paid because I only count the amount I've paid since February 14th of 2020 when I started paying down my student loans. I had made payments in the prior 4 years to that. The minimum, I told y'all I'm always honest. Yes, my first year after law school, I did duck and dodge Sally Mae because how was I supposed to pay her and afford living in New York? You know, that's the truth of it. So, my estimated total paid is actually 200K. And I've been wondering for a couple months, how would I feel having given 200,000 of my dollars towards a very nice piece of paper? Yes. And maybe it's because I'm sick, but I have no feelings right now. I can barely breathe. My nose is very stuffy. And maybe that's for the best because I think once it sets in that I've given these people 200 mother effing thousand, $200,000, I think I'll be upset. Yes, it should be noted I only ever borrowed, me, Stephanie. I borrowed 225. So if we did basic math, I borrowed 225, I've given them 200K. I should only owe 25K right now, but I don't. How much do I owe? $117,548.97 trifling cents because our student loan system is predatory. Yes. And because somehow, because of the lack of education in this country, a large and growing amount of people really think punishing the 45 million people that owe student loans and having us pay these exorbitant debts and these exorbitant interests, aka money we didn't borrow, makes more sense than actually taxing billionaires. Mm. This is why I'm a proponent of free education because the lack of education has people running around this place acting a damn fool. And in the 2 months that we have had the technocrat oligarchy run by Elon Musk, I have seen stupidity reign supreme. And I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of it. Honestly, it has taken all of my patience on a daily basis to not proverbially just shake sense into people. But I digress. Let's focus and stay on the point. You may have seen some rumblings, some various articles. Specifically, I'm going to pull up the one by Forbes, which is that the Department of Education, under the current Donald administration, is trying to get rid of income driven repayment plans. Currently, what's happening? The Department of Education, according to this Forbes article, which was published February 24th, the Department of Education takes down key student loan forgiveness and repayment applications. This is directly going to impact the future graduates of the class of 2025 when they graduate this summer in May and in June. Essentially, income driven repayment is a umbrella of different types of repayments for student loans that has existed for the past 15-ish years, maybe 20 years to be quite frank. Under income driven repayment, you can apply to have your payments to student loans basically take into account how much money you make. So that way you can afford your rent, eggs, grapes, those types of things, and also pay back the student loans. Income driven repayment is a net win for everybody. It's a net win for the debtor. So that way we can pay it back without seemingly feeling like the world is crashing down. And it's also a net win for the student loan company because then they're more likely to get their money. Okay. Because our government, how do I want to say this without riling up myself? Because our government is currently under the purview and the supervision of people who quite literally have no qualifications to be running any type of government, and they are currently slashing federal jobs that are very much needed. Jobs for the VA to make sure veterans get their proper benefits, jobs for the Department of Education, jobs in the IRS. Listen, if you don't get your refund check, there is one person you can look at, and his name is Elon Musk. Mhm. Because him and Tesla specifically, they have not paid federal taxes in 5 years. Yeah.
You don't find that suspicious? You don't find that suspicious? You don't find that suspicious?
If you, as a regular person, miss your taxes for 1 year, trust and believe them people will be at your door.
Right to jail, right away.
But because we have entered the phase of techno-fascism, they have now tried to convince people that somehow going after all these federal jobs and therefore slashing all these jobs and going after the regular American is going to somehow make this place better. As we have seen in the past 2 months, in the past month, actually, it has not. It will not. This is about to be a bumpy ride. Buckle in, unfortunately. So, specifically, according to the article, the Trump administration's Department of Education abruptly removed two critical applications related to student loan forgiveness and repayment on Friday, throwing an already troubled federal student loan system into greater turmoil. The department took down the online application portal for income driven repayment, or IDR. IDR plans are repayment programs that allow borrowers to make payments based on a formula applied to their income and family size, with any remaining balance forgiven, typically after 20 or 25 years in repayment. The department also removed the online application to apply for federal direct consolidation loan. And this part is very important. Both applications are critical for borrowers pursuing lower payments and low forgiveness through IDR, as well as the related PSLF, Public Service Loan Forgiveness. To apply for Public Service Loan Forgiveness, you have to, it is written into the rules, you have to consolidate your loan. The current administration is basically trying to take away the ability to consolidate your loan, which unfortunately is likely to lead to what I said last month, which is the removal of PSLF, which is trifling. There are many reasons why we should be out in the street, and this is one of them. Also, if you're sick, don't go out in the street. You'll make other people sick. But when you feel better, put your mask on. This is preposterous. Now, it should be noted later on in the article, they do state that on the website, the Department of Education website, you can download the income driven repayment application and fill it out manually. I'm assuming because as we have seen with the unsanctioned, illegal, alleged department that is Doge, their own website was not coded properly. So a bunch of hackers went into their website. I'm assuming that that's an oversight, that they're soon going to take off the ability to download the income driven repayment application for you to manually send it in. They seem to cut a lot of corners, as we've seen. Again, these are people with no qualifications, unelected, running around with our taxpayer money, making all of our lives harder. Now, before you sit there and you're like, wow, Stephanie, where is the levity? Where is the, hopefulness? I have it for you here. The hopefulness lies in the fact that because our current administration is run by uneducated, unqualified, and in some instances, unelected fools, they are leaving wide gaps of bureaucracy. What I mean by that is, it is going to take them a very long time to actually have this implemented. Yes, they can do away with the income driven repayment programs. There will likely be lawsuits. Those will likely be held up in court. That will also continue to buy more time. And also because they have fired so many people, most of these apartments are not running properly. You think if you wanted to collect people's money, you would keep the people in place that were there to collect the money. Again, it's a gaggle of idiots running the place. Interestingly enough, last week I received an email from my student loan servicer, which is Advantage. And Advantage stated, your income driven repayment plan recertification deadline has changed. Thought this was interesting. Once I clicked on it, it stated, Stephanie, you now have additional time to recertify your income driven repayment plan. You need to recertify your current IDR plan by November 20th, 2026. That's next year. There is no one in charge. This is as if in The Wizard of Oz, when they go to find the wizard and they realize it is farce and nonsense. There's nobody in charge. And the reason why I think that should give you a little bit of hopefulness, if you're already in the SAVE plan, like me, if you're already in income driven repayment plan, it is unlikely. And it's going to take them at least until the rest of the year, I would guess, to actually put us in another plan. That is going to give you time to continue to pay down your loans as much as possible, probably foregoing eggs, because at this point it's either or. It's very unfortunate, this place we're in. And as fast as you possibly can, get rid of as much as you can. I am currently and have been on the SAVE plan. My loans, even though I'm still paying them, they say they're in forbearance because simultaneously, while the federal government is in shambles, a lot of these student loan service providers, Advantage, Mohila, FedLoan, RIP FedLoan. FedLoan sold us all off and then went about their business. What they did during the pandemic, because all of student loans, federal student loans were on pause, they also downsized their workforce. They also do not have the workforce to come and harass you for the money, for what it's worth. And I'm not telling you that so that way you're like, oh, good, I'm not going to pay. I'm telling you that so that way you can feel a little bit more urgency to pay this before it gets worse, because it is going to get worse. Once they get their bearings and they get through this chaotic phase, they are going to start to bother us, unfortunately. I think now, if there are any recent grads in your life or anybody's siblings, children, nieces, nephews, etc., that are graduating in May and June, sitting down with them and explaining to them that, hey, income driven repayment might not be accessible to you by the time you graduate. So asking them, hey, how much do you owe? Let's calculate what your payment is. Because if I remember correctly, I have to look it up. So I'll look it up for next month and I'll tell y'all. My payment that they had originally set me on when I graduated law school, I believe was more than $2,000. To which I just laughed. I was like, "Oh, who's paying that? Who? Me? No." Which is why income driven repayment is so helpful, because then it takes your income into effect and you pay something that is much more reasonable per month. However, the downside I've always said of income driven repayment is the interest, as we can see with my interest, the interest will grow. The interest is what will swallow you alive. It should be noted that this entire system is predatory. And none of it is your fault. And the only way to change these things is for us to get a little bit more fire in our spirit and to realize there are 45 million people in this country that owe student loans. If even half of those 45 million people in this country that owe student loans created and maintained a very sustained action against the student loan service provider and against the current administration, we could see a lot of forward movement. I'm saying all this to say we are past the point of apathy. As much as, like, particularly because I'm sick right now, I would love to just sit here and lay here in some apathy. We have to actually do something. We have to actually get upset. We have to get more mad than sad. Unless sadness moves you to action. Sadness personally doesn't move me to action. Anger does. Now is the time for anger. Now is the time to question why one megalomaniac thieving billionaire is out here cutting all these programs and is out here influencing policy that will literally wreck our lives. Now is the time to say what the hell is going on. Now is the time to say what the hell is going on, to shake a few people. Now, before I'm like, what are we allowed to do now? Now is the time for On that note, I always like to end these with, how are y'all doing? How is your student loan payment journey going? Congrats in advance to those of y'all that have paid yours off this month. And we're gonna keep hope alive, and hopefully we'll keep anger alive and push this into a new era. All right. And by a new era, I mean an era that is actually equitable for people who simply wanted to get an education. Okay. On that note, I'll catch y'all later. Spring is almost here. Thank goodness. All right. Bye.